The kid needs Maverick. That's why I fought for you.
Val Kilmer wasn't just a movie star. He was the guy. From Top Gun to Batman, people knew his face, his voice, and that bold energy on screen. But behind the charm and talent, many called him difficult. Some even said he was impossible to work with. So, was it ego? Or was there more to the story? Maybe Val was just someone who saw too much and said too much. Toward the end of his life, he opened up in ways fans had never seen. He spoke about fame, truth, and what really happens in Hollywood. And before he passed, he left us with a final message. Join us as we uncover the man behind the headlines and the warning he left behind. A young boy with big dreams. Val Kilmer was born on December 31, 1959, in Los Angeles, California. He was the second of 3 sons. His mom, Gladys, had Swedish roots, and his dad, Eugene, came from Irish, German, and Cherokee backgrounds. Sadly, Val's parents divorced when he was just 8 years old. His mom later married a man named William Bernard Leach. Val's family history was rich. His grandfather had even worked as a gold miner near New Mexico. Kilmer grew up with Christian Science beliefs, and he held on to those beliefs for most of his life. But life at home wasn't always easy. In 1977, something tragic happened. His younger brother, Wesley, who had epilepsy, passed away after drowning in a jacuzzi. He was only 16. That loss stayed with Val for a long time. Despite the pain, Val kept going. He went to Chatsworth High School, where one of his classmates was future actor Kevin Spacey. His high school girlfriend was actress Mare Winningham. From early on, it was clear Val had talent. He became the youngest person ever accepted into the Juilliard School's drama division at the time. That was a big deal. Juilliard is one of the top acting schools in the world, and Val was part of Group 10 there. This strong start gave him the push he needed, but his real journey was just beginning. Stepping into the spotlight. In the early 1980s, Val was still finding his way. He turned down a role in The Outsiders because he was busy with theater work. But by 1983, he started getting noticed. He acted off-Broadway in The Slab Boys alongside future stars like Kevin Bacon and Sean Penn. That same year, he appeared in a special TV episode about drinking and driving called One Too Many. It was an educational show and starred a young Michelle Pfeiffer. Val even wrote poetry about her later on and published it in his book, My Edens After Burns. That book is rare today. Some second-hand copies cost over $300. Val's big break came with the 1984 movie Top Secret, a comedy where he played a rock star. He even sang all the songs himself and released an album as the character Nick Rivers. That role showed off his charm and comic timing. After that, things moved quickly. He starred in Real Genius in 1985, another fun comedy where he played a super smart college student. He was offered a role in Blue Velvet, but turned it down. Then came Top Gun in 1986. Val played Iceman, the cool and confident fighter pilot opposite Tom Cruise. The movie was a massive hit, making over $344 million around the world. It turned Val Kilmer into a household name, but he didn't stick to just one type of role. After Top Gun, he tried out different characters. In the fantasy film Willow, he played Mad Mardigan and met his future wife, Joanne Whalley. They worked together again in Kill Me Again in 1989. That same year, he also acted in Billy the Kid, a TV film written by Gore Vidal. He even performed in Hamlet during the Colorado Shakespeare Festival in 1988. It was clear Val could do comedy, action, fantasy, and even serious stage roles. But still, there was more to come. A star of many faces. Though Val started on stage, he quickly became known for his film work. He acted in almost every genre: comedies, dramas, westerns, crime stories, even sci-fi and fantasy. His films made over $3.85 billion across the globe. That's a massive number. In 1992, well-known movie critic Roger Ebert said something interesting. If there is an award for the most unsung leading man of his generation, Kilmer should get it. That says a lot. Val was respected, even if he wasn't always in the spotlight. His biggest roles came in the 1990s. He played Jim Morrison in The Doors, 1991, Doc Holliday in Tombstone, 1993, and even Batman in Batman Forever, 1995. People still remember those performances. He also shined in Thunderheart, True Romance, and Heat. In the years that followed, he took on all sorts of characters. He was in The Island of Dr. Moreau, 1996, The Saint, 1997, and voiced Moses in The Prince of Egypt, 1998. Then came movies like The Salton Sea, 2002, Alexander, 2004, and Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, 2005. He kept surprising fans with different roles, from serious to funny to mysterious. He never stopped working. In later years, he appeared in Deja Vu, 2006, Bad Lieutenant, Port of Call, New Orleans, 2009, MacGruber, 2010, The Snowman, 2017, and Song to Song, 2017. His final film was Top Gun: Maverick in 2022, where he returned as Iceman. It was a powerful moment for fans, especially since Val had faced major health issues by then. Outside of movies, Val also loved the stage. He made his Broadway debut in The Slab Boys back in 1983. He acted in Shakespeare's Henry IV, Part 1 in 1981, and 'Tis Pity She's a Whore in 1992. Both were performed at the Public Theater, and in 2012, he wrote and starred in a one-man show about Mark Twain called Citizen Twain. His career was filled with bold choices, emotional depth, and unforgettable characters. But as time passed, people began to wonder, was there more to Val than just the roles? The wild side of Iceman. It was the summer of 1985. Tom Cruise was out in a field near a Marine base in San Diego, carrying a huge bottle of champagne. He was following clues for a scavenger hunt, set up by none other than his Top Gun co-star Val Kilmer. Val had hidden the bottle and was watching from behind the bleachers, giggling like a school kid. This little prank says a lot about Val. He liked fun, but his idea of fun didn't always land well with others. Cruise didn't even thank him. Val later wrote, "I thought it would break the ice, but I guess the ice was just right." That line is funny, but it also shows how Val didn't always see things the way others did. In fact, throughout his career, Val had a reputation, not for being friendly, not for being easygoing, but for being difficult, and that word followed him everywhere in Hollywood. Val Kilmer's career is full of bold moves and intense roles, but his behavior behind the scenes often left people confused or frustrated. Even Google seemed to know his rep. If you searched "actor difficult to work with," his name popped up first. Was Val really that hard to work with? Or was he just different? In his autobiography, I'm Your Huckleberry, Val opened up about some odd moments. He recalled turning down a date with Cher, thinking she was just a gossip magazine figure. He later said, "I was not motivated to meet her, because I was sure we had nothing in common." But he admitted he changed his mind when he realized she had a real personality. And his famous role as Iceman in Top Gun? He said he sulked through the audition and read the lines without trying. Still, he got the part. Instead of feeling proud, he felt more deflated than inflated. From early on, Val took his craft very seriously. At just 12 years old, he walked out of a hamburger commercial. Why? Because he couldn't find his character's motivation. This was the kind of dedication and attitude he brought to every role. But this intense focus didn't always work in his favor. It sometimes made others uncomfortable. On Batman Forever, director Joel Schumacher called him childish and impossible. Kilmer didn't return for the next Batman film. Instead, George Clooney took over. That pattern kept happening. People loved him on screen, but off-screen, many found him too intense or unpredictable. On-set tensions and strange demands. Val's behavior became even harder to manage on later sets. On the film The Island of Dr. Moreau in 1996, The stories about him were wild. He asked to cut down 40% of his on-camera time. He just found out his wife, actress Joanne Whalley, was divorcing him. So maybe emotions were high, but his behavior still shocked people. Sometimes, he wouldn't even get up from the ground during a scene. Other times, he stayed in his trailer for hours while everyone else waited. There's even audio in a documentary where the director tells Val to stop filming with his own camera, and Val refuses. Executive producer Tim Zinnemann recalled an incident where Val burned a crew member's sideburn with the end of a cigarette. The guy was upset, naturally, Zinnemann said. Val apologized, but the damage was done. Director John Frankenheimer, who also worked on The Island of Dr. Moreau, once said, "I will never climb Mount Everest, and I will never work with Val Kilmer again." That speaks volumes. Even Marlon Brando, famous for being hard to work with, was overshadowed by Val's on-set behavior. But the stories didn't stop there. On the set of The Doors, Kilmer took things to another level. He played Jim Morrison so deeply that he wanted to be called Jim during the shoot. By the time he worked on The Saint, crew members were reportedly told not to even make eye contact with him. That's how intense things got. A talent that couldn't be tamed. Some called Val a genius. Others called him impossible. But either way, people paid attention. He was passionate, bold, and very serious about acting. But that passion didn't always come with kindness or understanding. In 2017, an actress named Caitlin O'Heaney said that Kilmer struck her during a screen test for The Doors. She claimed he picked her up, threw her down, and the director just laughed. She later signed a settlement and stayed silent for years. "If this was something that happened nowadays, I wouldn't sign it," she told BuzzFeed. Val didn't respond to the claim. His lawyer called it a workplace mishap, and the casting director said it was just part of the scene. Even as his career slowed down, Val had his own explanation for it. He once said he was a character actor with leading man looks. In his eyes, Hollywood didn't know what to do with someone like him. In a 2004 interview, Val said, "I never cultivated a persona. It's the persona that makes you a leading actor." He compared himself to old Hollywood stars like Humphrey Bogart, who had something special on screen, even if they weren't the best actors. Later in 2017, during a Reddit Conda, Val reflected on his reputation. He admitted he didn't do enough hand-holding or reassuring to the people financing his films. "I only cared about the acting," he said. He realized that made others feel like he didn't care about the film or their money. "I understand that now," he added. That's the side of Val Kilmer many people never saw. He wasn't just being difficult for fun. He was trying to protect the art. But in the process, he lost out on chances and friendships. He said it best himself, "I like to take risks. But that gave the impression I was willing to risk their money not being returned, which was foolish of me." The difficult-to-work-with label that wouldn't go away. You see, Val Kilmer had a career most actors could only dream of, but along with the fame came something he didn't expect. A lasting reputation for being difficult. For years, that word followed him like a shadow. Directors, co-stars, and producers often spoke about the trouble they faced working with him. On the set of The Island of Dr. Moreau, things got tense fast. The original director, Richard Stanley, lasted just 3 days before being fired. Val would arrive and an argument would happen, Stanley remembered. The new director, John Frankenheimer, didn't hold back either. "I don't like Val Kilmer. I don't like his work ethic, and I don't want to be associated with him ever again," he said. The director of Batman Forever, Joel Schumacher, had his own words. He called Kilmer childish and impossible. And the list didn't end there. Kilmer clashed with Tom Sizemore on Red Planet and Heat. Even Marlon Brando, known for being hard to handle himself, had issues with Kilmer on The Island of Dr. Moreau. But what was really behind all this? Was Val truly impossible, or just misunderstood? While many spoke of Kilmer's tough attitude, others had a very different story to tell. Tombstone actor Michael Biehn said he never even got to know Val. People ask me what it's like to work with Val Kilmer. I don't know. Never met him. Never shook his hand, Biehn said. I know Doc Holliday, but I don't know Kilmer. Still, some co-stars had kind things to say. Mira Sorvino, who worked with him on At First Sight, said, "He was real easy to work with. Really professional and gentlemanly." Tombstone co-star Kurt Russell agreed. Absolutely great working with Val. Drew Barrymore, who acted with Kilmer in Batman Forever, said he was nurturing, kind, and safe. And actress Hilary Burton praised him not only for his respect, but also for protecting her in a film scene. She said Kilmer chose to remove a sex scene because it didn't serve the story. Instead, they filmed a more meaningful moment, eating barbecue ribs. I felt so safe and cared for, she recalled. Val was kind to me, a thoughtful artist. Even David Thewlis, who worked with Val in the chaos of the island of Dr. Moreau, had a soft spot for him. One of the most extraordinary people I have ever met, Thewlis said. Proud to have called him a friend and co-conspirator. So, which was the real Val Kilmer? The man who argued with directors, or the one who made his co-stars feel respected and safe? His side of the story. In 2020, Kilmer released his autobiography, I'm Your Huckleberry. In it, he didn't shy away from the stories about his behavior. But he gave readers his side of things. He admitted he took acting very seriously, maybe too seriously at times. He shared how, even during Top Gun, he had doubts. He didn't like the pro-military script much, but he still gave his all. I actually found myself looking deeply into this guy, he said about his Top Gun character, Iceman. What made him arrogant? The question intrigued me. To prepare, Val imagined Iceman had a father who ignored him. He described the moment as if he saw the man's ghost, chewing on a piece of ice like a wild dog. That's how deep Val went into a role. His method wasn't just about saying lines. He wanted to live the character, and it didn't end there. In 2021, his documentary, Val showed rare footage from his personal life. 800 hours of it. It gave fans a new view of him, one not focused on drama or fights. Only 2 minutes were used to address his difficult reputation. The film brushed those stories off as tabloid nonsense. It suggested that people misunderstood the creative process and misunderstood Kilmer. Still, Val wasn't afraid to admit his regrets. In a Reddit conda, he said, I didn't do enough hand-holding and flattering and reassuring to the financiers. I only cared about the acting. He realized that wasn't enough. Sometimes, when you are the head of a project, it's only fair to make people feel good and happy they are at work. Then he added, I was often unhappy trying to make pictures better. That one line said a lot. Kilmer didn't want chaos. He just wanted the work to be better. But his way of going about it made others uncomfortable. The final act. In Top Gun: Maverick, his last big film role, Val's return as Iceman moved fans around the world. After losing his voice to throat cancer and undergoing a tracheotomy, Kilmer couldn't speak anymore. So in the film, Iceman communicates through a computer. One sentence hit hard. It's time to let go. He typed those words to Tom Cruise's character, Maverick. It wasn't just a line in a movie. It felt like real advice, from one man to another. Let go of the past. Let go of ego. Let go of who you used to be. And maybe that's what Kilmer had been trying to say all along. Though his voice was gone, his eyes said everything. That single scene brought emotion, power, and truth. And Cruise's tears? They looked real. Val's damaged voice didn't take away from the moment. It made it even more touching. In the end, it was fitting that Kilmer would say goodbye through the role that made him famous. He had once chilled the screen as the cocky, sharp Iceman, but now he gave that character warmth, depth, and wisdom. Val once said, I was often unhappy trying to make pictures better, but in that scene, everything came together. He was still Iceman, But he was something more, too. That final performance reminded everyone of what Val Kilmer truly was. Not just a movie star, but an artist who never stopped caring. Speaking of which, how were his final years like? A final voice before silence. Val Kilmer was once one of Hollywood's most famous faces, but in his final years, he became known for something far more human. After his throat cancer diagnosis in 2014, Val faced a painful battle that changed his life forever. He had surgery that damaged his vocal cords. He couldn't speak like before. He had to use a voice box just to be understood. Before he lost his voice, Val gave one last emotional interview at his Malibu home. It was with Norwegian TV and was recorded in 2014. In that interview, he reflected on his life, his regrets, and his hopes. "I was a dumb actor," he admitted. "I complained quite a bit when I was younger." He said he didn't appreciate the career he had. "I didn't appreciate the business that afforded me the lifestyle that I very quickly enjoyed," he shared. In simple words, Val realized too late how lucky he had been. Then he said something that broke many hearts. "I wish that I loved more. I want to be a better person." This was the last time we would ever hear Val Kilmer speak with his natural voice. Soon after, he would rely on machines to talk. Speaking of which, Val's health decline started suddenly. One day in 2014, he coughed up blood. It scared him, and he called for an ambulance. He passed out and woke up in a hospital. Doctors had performed emergency surgery. They gave him a tracheotomy, cutting a hole in his neck so he could breathe. This was just the beginning. Val had to go through radiation and chemotherapy. The cancer had spread to his tongue and blocked parts of his lymph system. Speaking and even eating became difficult. He had to use a feeding tube. To talk, he had to press a finger to his throat to let the air pass through. In 2020, Val shared that he had been cancer-free for 4 years. But his voice was never the same. He had to use an electronic voice box to communicate. It was hard, but he didn't give up. "I'm doing great. I feel a lot better than I sound," he told Good Morning America. Even after all this, he stayed strong. In his 2021 documentary, Val, he opened up about how it felt to lose his voice. "It's difficult to talk and be understood," he said, but he accepted it. "I'm trying to see the world as one piece of life." A new voice for a final role. In 2022, Val Kilmer made a powerful return to the big screen. He came back as Iceman in Top Gun: Maverick. It was emotional, especially because of what he had been through. Val couldn't speak clearly anymore, so filmmakers used AI to recreate his voice. The technology was made by a company called Sonantic. They used old recordings to make a new, lifelike voice for him. Val was grateful. "As human beings, the ability to communicate is the core of our existence," he said. "The chance to tell my story in a voice that feels authentic and familiar is an incredibly special gift." His scene in the film was short, but unforgettable. He typed messages on a screen to talk with Tom Cruise's character. At one point, Iceman typed, "It's time to let go." That line hit hard. It felt like Val wasn't just acting. He was sharing his real emotions. Cruise's reaction in the scene felt very real too. His eyes welled up with tears. That moment reminded everyone of who Val Kilmer really was. Not just a movie star, but a man who had faced great pain and still found the courage to speak again, even if it wasn't with his own voice. A heart full of regret and hope. In his last interviews, Val didn't hold anything back. He joked about himself, but he also admitted to things many people would never say out loud. When asked if people found him hard to work with, he laughed and said, "What's the one past difficult, impossible?" He explained that when he was young, he didn't understand how to treat others in the industry. "I had insecurities about myself that I projected onto the movie business," he said. He admitted that he let his ego get in the way. "Apparently, I had an evil twin. He had once been a top star, but his career slowed down. I'm kind of blacklisted," he said. I haven't gotten a studio job in 15 years. But Val still had hope. When the interviewer asked if he would act differently if given another chance, he replied, "Yes, in the way that gets me hired." He was honest, open, and humble. Val Kilmer wanted to do better, and he said it all with love in his heart. The loneliness he never shared before. In his 2020 memoir, I'm Your Huckleberry, Val revealed something even more personal. He said he hadn't been in a relationship for over 20 years. The truth is, I am lonely part of every day, he wrote. Val had been in love before. He was married to actress Joanne Whalley, and they had 2 children. But their marriage ended in 1996. He dated many famous women like Cher, Cindy Crawford, and Daryl Hannah. But none of the relationships lasted. He said Cher broke his heart. She was older than him and left after 2 years. He also called Daryl Hannah by far the most painful breakup. I knew I would love her with my whole heart forever, he wrote. I cried every single day for half a year. After that, he stayed single. The man once known as a Hollywood heartthrob spent the last years of his life mostly alone. Even during the hardest times, Val still found reasons to smile. When he got sick, it was Cher who stood by him. He was rushed to the hospital after coughing up blood, and Cher rushed to help. Val remembered how, even in that moment, they joked and laughed. I was covered in blood, he said, but I caught her eye and bounced my brows like Groucho Marx. Cher laughed. That's the kind of bond they had. After his hospital stay, Cher invited Val to live in her Malibu guest house. Once Cher works her way inside your head and heart, she never leaves, he said. Her steadfast love and loyalty never die. Even with pain and illness, Val could still laugh, still love, and still feel grateful for the people who truly cared. The legacy of a complicated star. Val Kilmer's career had its ups and downs. He never won an Oscar. He never got an Emmy. His closest major award nomination was for a spoken word album, but awards didn't define him. He started with comedy in Top Secret, 1984, and Real Genius, 1985. He became a star in Top Gun, 1986. He later played Batman in Batman Forever, 1995, and rocked the screen as Jim Morrison in The Doors. But his real legacy isn't just the roles he played. It's the honesty he showed in the end. He said, "When certain people criticize me for being demanding, I think that's a cover for something they didn't do well." Val said he wasn't demanding, just challenging, and he made no apologies for it. Val Kilmer died on Tuesday, April 1st, 2025, in Los Angeles, at the age of 65, after a long battle with health complications, including pneumonia and the lasting effects of throat cancer. His final words before losing his voice summed it all up. I want to be a better person. I try to figure that out every day, how to be more grateful. Even in silence, Val Kilmer left us with a voice full of truth, heart, and unforgettable courage. What moment in Val Kilmer's life or career moved you the most? And why? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more incredible stories from Hollywood's fascinating history. See you next time.